Hey Teaheads, this is Don from Mayleaf. A very quick one. We're on the hunt for the successor of Jade Star. It's not easy. We've been doing it for about a year and a half now, trying to find the successor for Jade Star. We have found some incredible tea here. Very, very good. I just want to show you here. This is a 2014 Shou Mei by Mudan combination. So 2014, so our Jade Star was 2011. This is 2014. It is a gorgeous tea. I'm trying to find the right tea at the right price for you, and it's going to be a tough one. I've got my own. This 2014. So keep your eyes peeled. We may pick some up. And this one here is a 2009 Shou Mei Mudan combination, 2009, and it is gorgeous, but this is not for sale, unfortunately, no matter how much I twist their arm, because it's a very rare loose blend, and we can't purchase it. But just wanted to give you a glimpse on the hunt for Jade Star. I know there's a lot of Jade Star fans out there. We are trying our hardest, I promise.
Whoa, 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 hold up. We found it. Hey Teaheads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, finding Jade Star II. In this video, we are finally going to unveil this hotly anticipated aged white tea. We're going to scope it and we are going to taste it. This video is going to go under the single tea tastings playlist. If at any point in time you enjoy this video, then please give it the thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more tea videos are going to come your way. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, then go click that button. So the video footage that you've just seen was filmed while we were in China in spring this year. And we had been searching at that point for about a year and a half, and the search was starting to get a little bit tiring. We were trying to find a worthy successor to the very, very widely appreciated Jade Star white tea. And when I left this shop, because it was a shop, it wasn't actually dealing with farmers or dealing with direct producers at the fields, it was a shop. And we don't normally purchase from shops. So when I left the shop, I was very frustrated, especially regarding the 2009 white tea that I showed you in that video, because it was the perfect, ideal successor for Jade Star. So I started to kind of unravel the story a little bit, trying to find who was supplying this shop. It was a bit of detective work. We managed to find a place in Xiamen. It was like a Easter egg hunt. We were hunting around Xiamen. Finally, we found a place in Xiamen that just so happened to have just over 300 cakes of a 2009 aged white tea. Obviously, we were very eager to taste it. We tasted it and immediately purchased every single cake they had. And so, finally, after all this time, we can unveil to you Jade Star II. So for those of you who don't know what all of the kind of hype is around Jade Star, let me explain. In 2015, we released an aged white tea called Jade Star, and it was very widely appreciated. A lot of people really loved that tea and still drink it to this day. If you are lucky enough to hold on to one of the original Jade Stars, then well done. And they liked it for its deep, rich, complex flavor, but also for its strong psychoactive effects. For some people, it made them feel giggly and chatty. For others, including myself, it was more introspective and reflective as a tea. Some people felt nothing, others felt sleepy. It all depends on the person, but there is something, I believe, in aging these white teas that brings out a more psychoactive effect, and I know a lot of people appreciated that. So when we started to see that it was selling and people were really loving Jade Star, we immediately began hunting for Jade Star II, and we began that hunt actually in late 2015. It took us a year and a half to find this tea. And the reason for that really is because aged white tea is not really a traditional type of tea. It's something that is now starting to enter the market, and really to find anything aged before 2012, 2010 is quite difficult to do. It's out there, but it's not very large. It's not in very large quantities, and therefore the price increases quite radically. So that's the backstory of Jade Star 1. I want to get into this cake because I know you're all eager to to taste along with me. So this is Jade Star II. Celine has, I think, outdone herself again, made a beautiful, beautiful wrapper. You can see that the boat here is the motif that remains from the Jade Star I wrapper. So originally in the Jade Star I wrapper, the boat was floating through the stars. And now I'm actually interested to hear what you think. Where do you think the boat is now? It's kind of abstract, and we've left it open to interpretation. So where do you think the boat is floating now? But that's the Jade Star boat on its journey, and I think that this cover really suits the feeling and effects of this tea. I'm going to put this down, and we are going to unwrap this baby. So let's do it. You ready to see what Jade Star II looks like? And then we'll scope it. Oh, look at it. Beautiful 150 gram cake here. We're gonna scope it in a second, so I'll talk to you about the pickings, but you can see nice buds here, silver beige buds. You've got some hazelnut brown leaves and some darker eggplant or aubergine kind of purple black leaves here. Really, really nice. So let's scope this tea. So I'm gonna bring it to this camera just in case the other camera doesn't pick it up. So this tea is a spring 2009 tea. So the original Jade Star was aged from 2011. So it was picked in 2011. This is picked in 2009. So this is actually older than Jade Star 1, which is great. So we've got an even older tea. So 2009 spring harvest. The cultivar is the Dabai cultivar, or the big white cultivar, which is the very commonly used and highly revered cultivar for white teas. The origin is Fuding, Fujian in China, so spot on, the perfect place for really high quality white teas. The picking of this is a blend, just like Jade Star 1, it's a blend of Baimudan, which is the buds and young to medium leaves, and Shou Mei, which are lower leaves. So it's a blend, and I actually really like that blend because I think too much Baimudan and the flavor becomes less sweet, and the feeling becomes a bit too rushy, if you don't have any Baimudan, then you don't have the nuttiness and brighter notes if you only have a Shou Mei cake. So this is a blend. I would say it's compared to Jade Star 1, and I don't want to make too many comparisons to Jade Star 1 because it is its own tea, but comparatively it's slightly heavier on the Shou Mei in this cake. And so that means that, yes, you have slightly less nuttier notes, but you have a little bit more of the fruitier notes, a little bit more sweetness, and certainly the feeling and sensation is less rushy. It's a little bit calmer than the original Jade Star. And finally, elevation is around 1,000 meters, so nice high altitude. Okay, let's put this cake down and let's break into it. Really, really nice cake, very easy to break into. So you can see, look how easy it is to break. We just want to take a nice amount here. Because this is an aged tea, it's going to have quite a lot of broken leaves, but that was the same with Jade Star 1, and it certainly did not affect the flavor of it. It's really, really nice, very easy to break. Here we go. I think, I'm not going to weigh it, but I think that's enough. If you look on our website, we'll give you all of the parameters for how I would recommend you brewing your tea. But remember, those are starting points. So you obviously can adapt to your own taste. So we're going to put this to one side here. And then we're going to just take a pot and we're going to heat it up. I really want to get a good smell of these leaves. So just warming the teaware is always a good idea. That way, as soon as the dry leaf hits the pot, you're gonna start to release those volatiles. You don't have to wait long. Glass is very quick. If you were using clay, then you maybe leave it a little bit longer. Leave it 10 or 15 seconds. Right, let's see if I can get these tea leaves in here without making a mess. Ooh, I've used quite a lot. you know me, if I'm going to taste a tea, the more leaf, the better. Well, within reason, of course. Okay, so let's have a sniff of these leaves. So the key, again, I'm not going to talk too much about the differences, but I will just say this. For those of you who know Jade Star 1, the key difference is that there's much more of a herbaceous note with this tea. You're getting sweeter notes. I'm getting molasses. I'm getting fruits like black currants or blackberries. I'm getting more sugars, more creme caramels, more molasses, and less of the nutty notes, the kind of almond, marzipan notes of the original one. And as I said, more herbal notes. Just general herbal notes. It might be a bit of verbena, those kinds of notes, lemon verbena kinds of notes. Let's give it a rinse. So we're using 95-degree water. It's about 205 Fahrenheit. I definitely want to give this a rinse. In fact, I might not even go through a sieve, just pour it out so that we get any of the real fine dust out of here. Okay, let's give this a smell. So different to the dry leaf, I'm getting less of those black berries and black currants. Now we're moving more into a syrupy vanilla, a little bit of peaches. So canned, tinned peaches, syrup, vanilla, delicious. Really, really nice smell. The herbaceous note is still there. Okay, so let's give it a brew. And we want to brew it for, flash brewing. We want something like about 10 to 15 seconds, something like that. I'm going to show you a little trick later to get the most out of these tea leaves, by the way, so stay tuned for that. So about 10 seconds like that. This time we're going to put it through a filter, catch all of those, any potential dust. Actually, there's very little coming in. Oh, look at the color of this. Let me show you the color of this liquor. Gorgeous. For the first infusion, that's pretty impressive. It's dark, a very dark rum color, slight kind of whiskey, orange whiskey color. Really, really nice. Finally, we get to taste. Cheers, everyone. Jade Star II. And we're going to talk about texture first. Texture is medium to thick, quite oily at the arrival. Really lovely on the arrival, silky, smooth, but then it moves and transforms to give you a quenching, slightly mineral dryness. Really nice journey from smooth to dry. Not too dry, certainly nothing puckering, it's just a nice mineral dryness. Let me take this lid off so it doesn't steam. Okay, now let's try to focus on getting some taste. So there is a herbaceous freshness. I talked about verbena or a lemon verbena before. I'm getting that, but I'm also getting more on a dried mint, not fresh mint, but dried mint freshness. Very noticeably fresh, cooling on my tongue. Really minty fresh. My throat is starting to feel cool as well. Definitely has, I'm not quite sure how, but it's got that menthol mintiness to it. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have depth and sweetness, because it does. It's definitely got a molasses, slightly charred note to it as well. Definitely dark molasses, toffee apples or charred apples. In fact, that's the predominant fruit note that I get from it. You are also getting that muscatel, which was prevalent in the original Jade Star, but the muscatel doesn't have so much of the tang, doesn't have so many of those high notes, but has more of a rounded, sweet, deeper notes to it, so more raisiny rather than kind of muscatel. Really, really nice. I'm also getting just the barest whiffs of, definitely, it's strange because it kind of comes and goes, but I'm definitely getting a kind of cannabis spiciness, like pepperiness, like a peppery spiciness. Yeah, pepper could be as well, that black pepper, those kinds of notes. Really, really interesting. So you've got the molasses, the dessert-like qualities, the raisin-like qualities. You've also got this kind of spiciness, this peppery, cannabis pepperiness to it, and you have this herbaceous, minty freshness. So really lovely balance, very different from Jade Star 1, which is why I don't think that you should really compare them directly. Of course, you can sit down and do an A-B, that would be interesting, but this is a tea in its own right and should be judged accordingly. Beautiful color, liquor, really, really nice. So, what I plan to do now is to sit here. I don't want to go through all of the infusions with you. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work my way through the infusions, and I'll come back to you when I'm on about infusion 5 or 6 and I'll let you know how I feel. Infusion number 5 is in the glass, and I have to say that the flavor progression really, really continues to change. So it starts to move away from the fruitiness. There seems to be some sort of nut milk sweetness to it, almost like soy milk sweetness to it, a brown sugar sweetness. My mouth is very, very sweet and minty fresh. So that minty cooling sensation coupled with sweetness for sure. Juiciness, but strangely right on the tip of my tongue. So it's kind of a salivating feeling on the tip of my tongue. The flavor progression moves to slight woody notes. You definitely have those raisin notes, woody notes. In terms of the sensation, well, I started feeling the sweat starting to come, gentle perspiration around infusion number 2, so almost immediately. Definitely not just because of the heat of the tea, it definitely has a kind of flushing kind of feeling to it, where you start to feel like you start to gently perspire, a nice cooling sensation, that kind of hot, cold sensation. I would say this tea is less rushy, less frenetic compared to Jade Star 1. But it definitely has a woozy feeling to it. It has a light-headed feeling to it. It has a more of a body sensation, actually, more tingly. I can feel the tingles in my fingers. So I don't know if that's just encouraging circulation, but it definitely feels like it's driving, like it's heating my body up, and the blood is flowing and I'm getting this tingling sensation. Definitely lightheaded. And if I was to give some advice for people who are just starting and with aged white teas, make sure you have some food around near you, just some snacks, something that's not going to affect how you judge the flavor, maybe some nuts, maybe a little bit of fruit nearby, just to help to increase your blood sugar level in case you feel overly lightheaded. Definitely feeling lightheaded, definitely feeling woozy, and this is just the beginning of infusion number 5. You can see the color of the liquor is just as dark as infusion number 1 and 2. In fact, number 1 was the lightest, and then it started to get darker. It doesn't seem to have been, it doesn't seem to be getting any lighter now. Definitely feeling woozy here, quite lightheaded. Nice though, nice, calm, not too rushy. I'm certainly not getting a lot of caffeine. I don't feel jittery at all. So in my opinion, the combination of the slightly older tea, so 2 years older than the original Jade Star, and probably the fact that it's a higher percentage of Shou Mei has made this a little bit more I don't want to say mellow, but a little bit more settled, a little bit more within your body rather than escaping. And it has this nice, tingly, warming sensation, kind of comforting, quite comfortable, but at the same time, a little bit drunk, a little bit lightheaded. Really nice. The freshness is still there. Obviously, the strength is starting to reduce, but that's starting to reveal a little bit more of the minerality, a bit more of the woodsy notes, and these herbaceous notes. But what's surprising me is this soya milk sweetness and milkiness about it, which is really, really interesting. The look of the wet leaves, as you would expect, they've evened out in color. So now we've got brown, kind of clay brown, dark clay brown, nutty brown color, really maybe Brazil nut brown, very nice. And the look of the leaves, let's take some out. They have a nice springy texture to them. They seem very much like they've got a lot more to give. They haven't kind of given up all their flavor. I'm sure we can get quite a lot of infusions out of this. So this is infusion number 5. It's still smooth. It's still got that medium thickness to it. So it hasn't lost that. I want to smell the empty cup. Interesting. So the empty cup, usually with teas, the empty cup or the empty gong da bei, the aroma is more, it reveals more of the warm dessert-like notes. But for this tea, it seems to be the opposite. It seems more tangy. Definitely got honey notes. I can smell the sweetness, molasses on the taste, but I would say more honey, but deep honeys, like forest honeys. And it has a tang to it, an interesting tang to it, almost vinegary kind of tang to it. Especially when you leave it for a bit, just to cool down. Try it. If you get this tea, try smelling the empty cup or gong da bei, and you may pick up a tang to it, almost a sherbety tang or a vinegary kind of tang, maybe an apple vinegar tang to it. Very, very interesting. Okay, so we're on infusion number 5 here. Now, I'm going to keep going with this tea, probably to infusion number 7 or 8. And then you have a choice, really. You can either keep going with the infusions, but after I think around 7 or 8, it's going to start to diminish in strength. It'll still reveal nice sweet notes and it'll be an interesting journey. But what I like to do, and what often I see in China them doing, is they will take the leaves after 6, 7, 8 infusions, and they will put the leaf into cold water, turn up the heat, usually in a glass pot or glass kettle, but you can use any stainless steel pan that you have, and simmer the leaves for 10 minutes or so, just on a nice low simmer. So bring it up to the boil, and then once it's boiling, turn it down and leave it simmering for about 10 minutes, and that will make a really nice, strong finishing brew. So rather than, experiencing the infusions as they start to weaken, you go out with a bang and you have a nice, strong shot of white tea. So I'm going to keep drinking through this, and then I'm going to come back with my final shot and my final thoughts. Here we are, a power brew and a half of Jade Star II. So what I did was I took the leaves, I put them in a saucepan, and I put about 3 infusions worth of cold water, so about 500 ml, half a litre of water, in with the leaves, turned up the heat. As soon as it reached boiling point, I turned it down to a simmer and left it. Now, I left this for a long time. I left it for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Usually in China, I see them usually leaving it for about 10 minutes and then pouring off, and then sometimes adding more cold water and continuing the process until the liquor is too light for their tastes. This is a very dark liquor. Let me show it to you. It's almost coffee black. Very, very dark. A little bit more cloudy, as you'd expect, because of the agitation as it was simmering away in the pot. And this you can really do with aged white teas. It's not many teas that you can do that to, where you have a sustained heat for a long period of time, but with aged whites you certainly can. Let's give it a taste. So this could be your final shots if you're serving in a group and you're having a Jade Star session. You could do your final shots. I have 3 times this amount next to me, so there's plenty here. Yep, this is going to be strong, but let's see, because you know the whole point with these aged white teas is even if it's strong, it should still be smooth and it should still be not too bitter. Not bitter at all, actually, no bitterness. That's great. More herbaceous. I'm getting thyme. So the mint has turned into those woodier herbs, thyme, maybe a little bit of sage. Certainly very herbaceous, nice and strong. The same level of dryness, maybe a touch drier, but nothing too distinctively different from when you're brewing Gongfu style. Really, really nice. Still got the sweetness, and as I said, no bitterness at all, which is quite unique with aged white teas, that you can give it this sustained simmering and it doesn't release any bitter notes. So, final thoughts on Jade Star II. First of all, flavor-wise, delicious. Nice herbaceous notes, good sweetness, some fruit in there, a nice balance, a good journey through the different infusions. In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is as potent as the original Jade Star, but in a different way. So Jade Star, the original, was a little bit more rushy, a little bit more like you were evaporating out of your head for many people. Not for everyone, but for many people. And for those of you who were a little bit scared off from the original Jade Star because it gave you this rushy feeling, I think that you should try this one. This one's more settled. It's more within your body. It's definitely more body sensations, a little bit more tingly. It certainly isn't calm. It's got definitely that kind of effervescent, giggly, social vibe, but it's not as manic as the original. And I think that it's better for it. I actually prefer the sensation of this tea. So that's it, guys. Finally, it's here. Jade Star II. If you're interested, you can pick a K-Cup for yourselves. That's it, Teaheads. If you made it to the end of this video, then please give it the thumbs up. Check out our YouTube playlist and let us know if there are any videos that you'd like us to make. If you're ever in London, then come visit us in Camden to say hi and taste our wares. If you have any questions or comments, then please fire them over. Other than that, I'm a slightly drunk Don May. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye. In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is as... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is as... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is as a... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is... In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it... Oh my God. In terms of the effects of this tea, I think that it is as potent...